Hey, look, moving forward again, and I said I wasn't going to get controversial, but the last time you played in the New Zealand Open at Paraparaumu Beach was 2002, the infamous Tiger Open. And I'll tread very carefully through this, but it was controversial for a number of different reasons, and I've heard different urban legends on what went on. But you obviously personally didn't have a very happy event. Stuck on Kapiti Road, I believe, perhaps before your first tee time or second tee time.
Oh, yeah, the whole week was a bit of a palaver. Yeah, it was a shame. I mean, yeah, it's what happens when you let investment bankers get into it, you know.
Yeah, well, true.
Yeah, look, it was, you know, I mean, it was sad in a number of ways. I mean, it was a great idea, and it just, you know, got out of hand. It all got a little bit hijacked. I don't hold any grudges for that, or, you know, I just think that bit of hubris, you know, and you know, a lot of people got a little bit carried away and probably forgot what the event was about and forgot what you know, yeah, so it was pretty uncomfortable, and yeah, it was a nightmare trying to play, and yeah, we got locked out. We couldn't. The driving range was down at a school nearby. I can't remember where it was.
Paraparaumu College, yeah.
Yeah, I was playing in the group. I must have been playing in the group in front of Tiger, I think. And so we came back, and they wouldn't let the courtesy cars onto the golf course because Tiger was due to arrive. You know, it's like we had to go up the road and walk back down on the spikes in those days. You know.
Yeah.
Oh, it was just it was the week was full of memories, none of them particularly happy, but yeah, and it was a shame because it you know, it could have been it was a wonderful thing to have him there, and it just, yeah, I just think, yeah, a few people lost a little bit of perspective, and you know, with the, yeah, and it sort of ended up, you know, I think probably financially it ended up a bit of a disaster for all involved as well, but so it didn't turn out that well, but yeah, nobody died.
Hey, so speaking of memories, just to almost finish up, your favourite hole at Paraparaumu Beach, and perhaps if you describe the hole as you would stand on the tee and as if you were playing it.
Yeah, I was thinking about this last night. You know, I'm incredibly fond of the golf course. I think it's underrated as a golf course, but it's not. But it's one of those, you know, that whatever that expression goes about the you know, the sum of it being greater than the sum of the individual parts, and I think that probably applies at Paraparaumu. And there's lots of holes that have got real merit, and probably, but it is the sum. You know, it's them in totality that kind of makes the course what it is. You know, it's a great little group of par threes, because they're all quite different, you know, and they vary in different ways. They go in different, you know, they you know, as a group, you know, individually, you know, I know, yeah, probably the 16th is the one that gets the most attention because it's, you know, likened to the postage stamp. But you know, I don't think any one of them individually is the best par three in the country, but as a collection, they really, you know, they make a great collection. You know, 17. You know, I think 17 is and certainly was perhaps my favourite hole there. I think technology has rendered some of the interest in that hole a little less than it used to be. When it was a really good hit to get up on the left, then the decision making about where's the wind, where's the pin, do I go down the right, you know, that sort of thing doesn't seem, you know, I think technology's rendered a little bit of that, that less important than it was, so it's taken away some of the complexity of the decision making that used to exist on that tee. You know, if I had to choose a single hole there, I won't. I'm going to sit on the fence a bit. You know, I think Paraparaumu has a great a number of really good short fours. I've always been really fond of the 8th hole. I mean, it's a pretty simple little green, tiny little green. you're just drawn to going down the right side there all the time, and it's just not the place to approach from. So a hole that looks quite simple but just draws you in a direction. And the 10th hole, the 10th is not a pretty golf hole, but again, it's just any time you stand on the tee and you're thinking that any club in the bag from a 5-iron up could be the right shot to hit, then that always intrigues me. And I think 10's a great little hole. It's not the prettiest little hole. The architecture down the left side is not it's not country club architecture. It's but it's a fascinating little golf hole. So I love 6 as well. And funnily enough, now I'm going to call every hole on the golf course shortly. But
he goes to some of the parts coming up.
Yeah, that's right. A hole that probably isn't a lot of people's favourites would be 15, but I've always, it's a blind tee shot, which I don't mind. It's a blind tee shot that opens up rather than closes up, but it's such a great little green location, and there is, knowing where the flag is and where the wind is, and there's a real advantage in hitting a great tee shot down there on a hole that looks like you can kind of hit it anywhere. So those are probably the holes that stand out the most for me. Again, probably a lot of people talk about 13, I suppose. It's a hole that that's it's got a great backdrop, and it's a really strong 4. I've never thought it was one of the best holes on the golf course because it never seemed to, you just got to hit 2 good golf shots. To me 13 was just a test of execution. Not taking anything away from it, but it's a good hole, but I just never felt I think people probably think of it more because of the backdrop, as you turn back to the hills.
Or difficulty. It's an old argument. Does a difficult golf hole necessarily make it a great golf hole?
Yeah. So, as I said, it's a good hole. I don't want to take anything away from it, but it never occurred to me that it was one of the best or more memorable holes at Paraparaumu. But and 18, 18's I much prefer 18 from the tee as it's played the old tee rather.
So interesting. I'd like to hear your thoughts on 18 because it can be quite a maligned finishing hole.
It's a par 4, really, isn't it?
Well, that's the argument. If you call it a par 4, does that all of a sudden make it a great finish?
Exactly.
A strong hole.
I had a really interesting conversation with Peter Dawson, the former secretary of the R&A, when he was out here a few years ago. We were discussing over a wine or two about the things in the game. If we could turn the clock back and if you could change, what would they be? And for me, par would be one of them. I think we've got fixated with this idea of par, and to me, well, for one thing, you go out and play Carnoustie on a dead calm day, and then play it in a 60 knot northerly, and the par's still 72.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
It's 10 shots harder. So it's just it's a subjective thing anyway. But people, a lot of the most interesting holes in golf are the ones that kind of don't fit terribly comfortably into par. They're that sort of it's too long for a par 3, but it's too short for a par 4. And same with it. It's too long for a par 4, but it's too short for a par 5. Well, is it interesting? Is it intriguing? Does it ask you to hit different shots? Does it make you make decisions? Does it offer you a shot that you don't want to hit? So to me, those things are more important than is it a par 4? Is it a par 5?
It's interesting looking at Alec Russell's notes up in our clubhouse. I mean, he talked about the 3 par 5s being actually par 4.5s. That was actually how he designed them.
Yeah. Well, I think of at Millbrook on the Coronet course at Millbrook, 5 and 6. I've always said to people, they're par 9. There are plenty of days when 5 actually is 5 is the par 4 on the card, and 6 is the par 5 on the card. But there are often occasions when 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 5 plays harder than 6 does. So they're a par 9, if you want to put par around it. But yeah, I just think the slopes on 18 at Paraparaumu work better, and the decisions work better from that right hand tee. I thought the tee that they, trying to gain a little bit of distance that they used for that Tiger Woods Open, it just wasn't as good a hole from back there. The angles weren't nearly as interesting. The slopes didn't work as well. So and again, it's if you wanted to analyze Paraparaumu on a hole by hole basis and stuff, you go, well, internal out of bounds is not, which is the same on 9. You sort of shy away from internal out of bounds, but what the hell, you wouldn't ideally do that, but if you were starting from scratch, but it is what it is, and it's not hiding.
Yeah.
So, and it, whether you need it or not, it's a different question. But it's an interesting hole. You want to make 3 there. You want to give yourself a chance of making 3. Then especially when you've got a little breeze, as it has been known to blow occasionally on the Kapiti Coast, a little breeze into you. Then you better take you better hit a good tee shot, and you better hit it down that dangerous line. And it's seldom do you stand on that tee and not think about that.
Well, Greg, I look forward to sharing a game of golf with you again, hopefully at Paraparaumu Beach. Always good to talk to you. Thanks once again for those Turner tips. I really appreciate it, Greg. Thank you so much.
It's always good. Always good to talk. We'll see you on the links. Hopefully not too long.